everybody. I'm going to continue to show jazz records soon, but I thought I was going to squeeze in for once regular showing here in the record room. Going to do a thread response to my pal James Griffith, who always is amazing when it comes to finding subjects of threads. This time he wants to show 10 records from A&M label, and a label that haven't meant that much to me, because it's a label that have been there. I have some great albums from that label, but I never thought it as something unique. Of course, I knew of Herb Alpert, but I never focus on it in the same way as let's say Verve or Philly. But it was of course a great challenge to dig out 10 records from A&M Records for you, James. So 10 A&M records, and to spice it up a bit, I have put them in alphabetic order, with exception from the first one, because I felt like it would be pretty natural to start with the man himself. Herb Alpert and the Tiana Brass, whipped cream and other delights. And this one is looking like this. So felt natural somewhere to start with the owner himself. Then we can move on with more on A. Bryan Adams, In the Heat of the Night. Also released on A&M back in 1987. In my opinion, one of Bryan Adams' actually best albums, even though it is pretty much forgotten today. As before that came Reckless, and after that came Wake 'Em Up the Neighbors, both huge successes. But this one was pretty much forgotten, but I think it's definitely one of his absolute best. Carpenters, and a really interesting album, Horizon, with a nice interesting opening. And as you in your video said that you like these labels, classic A&M. From a classic band and a classic album. We have a lot of soul coming from A&M, especially from the 80s. So we have some Jeffrey Osborne and Stay With Me Tonight from 1983. Also on this one, I have a couple of these here. And a favorite of mine, Rupert Hine, Immunity, from 1981. Among them songs here, one of my absolute favorites, I Hang On To My Vertigo, that I think is so amazing. And this is really a relaxing, great album with different kind of moods. And guess what? Also, 3 times strike. And going back to some vintage soul, Janet Jackson was also recording on A&M. This is actually her debut album, from what I know, from 1982. Don't ask me how good it is, because it's actually in the large pile that I haven't listened to yet. But this debut is very special. I think at the time she was still in doing her role in Fame, TV series Fame. So really fun to have. And of course a lot of Brazilian music also come from A&M. Antonio Carlos Jobim and Wave. A lot of MPB. And we have another real classic that also put out a lot of his stuff, later stuff on A&M, talking about Quincy Jones. And here's a classic, The Dude, also from 1981, with I No Corrida, and a whole lot. Really great album. Velas, a song that he does with another of my favorites in jazz, a Belgian harmonica player, Toots Thielemans. And also today a sadly forgotten artist that actually did some really great albums, talking about Annabelle Lamb, and this is The Flame, album bought in Gothenburg. And what do you know? Vintage. And finally, more MPB, Brazilian music. Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66. With Mais Que Nada, among others, and One Note Samba. Isn't that one of the most repeating and uninteresting Brazilian songs? But in the right arrangement, it works. And started with this and ends with this. Looking on the label. That was 10 records from A&M Records. I'm pretty sure there will be more, as there's a lot of genres here that I like very much. So maybe I could do another 10 one day. So I hope that you are satisfied with my response, James, and that you and everybody else have a real nice time, no matter where you are, no matter what you do. Take care and so long.